All right, so are you ready to dive into some like seriously smart saving strategies?
Oh, yeah. Hit me.
Okay, cool. Today we're kind of taking a page from Chelsea at the Financial Diet.
Love her.
Yeah, she's like the queen of, making finances fun and accessible and all that stuff.
I agree.
So, we're going to be dissecting one of her YouTube videos
Okay.
where she reveals these 11 things that she cut out of her budget
Wow.
without feeling the pinch.
That's impressive. 11 things.
Yeah, so it's kind of fascinating to see how personal finance choices kind of reflect individual values and stuff.
For sure.
This could be a great kind of exercise for, the listener to think about their own spending habits and,
Totally. Yeah.
what they're doing.
Make it personal.
Yeah, exactly. So her first tip tackles fast fashion, which honestly is something I've struggled with too.
Oh, yeah.
She used to be like a frequent flyer at, all those like Tempton stores like H&M and Forever 21.
So easy.
But she realized that like constantly replacing those like cheap clothes wasn't actually saving her money.
Yeah. Right? It's like that misconception, the low price tag kind of masks the long-term cost, and then you're buying it again and again and again.
Yeah, it's that cycle.
Yeah. And you might even be thinking, hey, that's similar to what I've experienced. And what this constant cycle of buying and discarding not only impacts your wallet, but it also has those broader ethical and environmental implications too.
It's true. And it's like we're almost conditioned to think that we need like a whole new wardrobe every season.
Right. New trends.
Yeah. And so now Chelsea's all about thrifting, finding those high quality pieces on sale and really just, questioning if you truly need something before buying it.
Love that.
Oh.
Okay. Good for her.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, next up is a strategy that might raise some eyebrows.
Oh, really? I'm intrigued.
Okay, so Chelsea, a self-proclaimed steak lover, decided to limit red meat at home.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like this raises questions about how do you balance budgetary concerns with like your actual nutritional needs?
Right. Because we all need protein.
Exactly. And it's great that she, enjoys like a quarterly steak dinner as a treat.
Sure, as a splurge.
Yeah, exactly. But, listeners might want to consider alternative protein sources, make sure they're getting a balanced diet.
Yeah, get that protein in.
Absolutely. It's about finding like what works for you,
Customized.
Exactly. And Chelsea's point is that by cutting back on that expensive meat, she's actually freeing up more budget space for like healthy, affordable meals with lots of veggies and other protein options.
I see, so that makes sense.
Yeah, so this could be a good opportunity for you, the listener, to like think about your own dietary habits.
Yeah.
Is there an expensive food that you love that could be reframed as like an occasional indulgence, allowing you to save money and, explore other options?
Yeah, trade-offs.
Now, this next one really resonated with me.
Okay, let's hear it.
The obligatory drink with dinner dilemma.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You know that like automatic glass of wine or cocktail when you're at a restaurant?
You just feel like you have to. Right, and it's like Chelsea points out how quickly those drinks, often costing between $8 and $15 each, can add up.
It's so true.
And then not to mention all the extra calories.
Exactly. And it's not even about like being a teetotaler or anything. It's
Yeah.
about being conscious.
Mindful.
Yeah. Do you actually want that drink or are you just going through the motion?
Right, are you just doing it because everyone else is?
Yeah. And it kind of brings up this great point about mindful spending.
Totally.
It's so easy to fall into these habitual patterns without like evaluating if they align with our goals or even like our enjoyment.
I'm so guilty of that.
Yeah, me too.
Especially with drinks.
So think about it. Like, how often do you really savor that obligatory drink?
Yeah.
And how much could you be saving by skipping it occasionally?
Good point, good point.
Okay, let's move on to another area where spending can easily get out of control: gym memberships.
Oh, yeah.
Chelsea hilariously admits that she used to think that like an expensive gym membership would magically transform her into a fitness fanatic.
Oh, we've all been there.
Right. Spoiler alert, it didn't.
It never does.
The if I pay for it, I'll definitely use it mentality.
The biggest trap.
And it's so interesting here, like the realization that a pricey solution isn't always the most effective or even like the most enjoyable.
Right, find what you like.
Yeah, exactly. And she realized that she actually prefers free exercise,
Oh, nice.
like walking her dog.
I like that.
And it's about finding what works for you and not falling for those market employees that promise those like unrealistic results.
So true.
So, are there any magic solutions you're currently paying for, a listener, that aren't actually deliver it?
That's the question.
Yeah, so this kind of ties into another insightful point that Chelsea makes about buying clothes for a fantasy self.
Ooh, a fantasy self. What's that?
Yeah, she recounts a story about this robin's egg blue coat with a white fox fur collar.
Oh, makes sense.
Fun but rarely worn.
That's so sad.
It's so easy to get caught up in like the idea of who we want to be, and we buy those clothes for that aspirational self rather than like our everyday reality.
I can picture that coat just sitting in the back of the closet, just yearning for its moment.
I know, right? Like, come on.
Wants to be worn.
So think about it. How much money have you spent, listener, on items that reflect a version of yourself you haven't quite stepped into yet?
That's deep.
It's true, though.
Yeah.
Now, this next one hit home for me.
Okay, I was right.
Okay. Chelsea calls it the trendy neighborhood trap.
Ooh, trendy neighborhood trap.
It's that idea that you have to live in the it spot, even if it means paying a premium for, well, pretty much everything.
Oh yeah, like status symbol.
Yeah, and it's an interesting reflection on the cost of that perceived status.
Oh, sure.
And Chelsea discovered that living in a trendy area just meant higher prices and a community that didn't quite align with her values.
I feel that.
And she didn't hold back on her opinions about the people who lived there.
Oh, really?
Let's just say they weren't her cup of tea.
Okay, got it.
Well, ultimately, she realized that paying $800 more in rent just to be in the cool neighborhood just wasn't worth it.
Yeah, I mean, you're paying for the name, really.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's about finding that balance between location and affordability, a place that like fits your lifestyle and your budget.
Makes sense.
So for you, the listener, this raises an important question. Are you paying a premium for location? Or are you prioritizing what truly matters in terms of like community and your own personal values?
Such a good question.
And on that note of prioritizing, let's talk about something we can all relate to, the let's get drinks friends.
Oh, I have so many of those.
Right. Those acquaintances you feel obligated to meet up with.
Every time.
Yeah, even though they might not bring a lot of joy or value to your life.
It's the worst.
And Chelsea suggests being more intentional about those engagements.
Okay, so how do you do that?
It's about choosing quality connections over quantity.
I see.
Are these meetups actually enriching your life, or are you just going through the motions?
I need to think about that.
Yeah, so think about it, listener. Could cutting back on those like obligatory social events free up time and money for things you genuinely enjoy? Such a good point.
And this leads perfectly into Chelsea's next point about jewelry.
Jewelry, okay.
She realized she was buying jewelry because she thought it's what women should do.
Oh, like it's expected.
Exactly, and not because she actually enjoyed wearing it.
Right.
And she's not saying the jewelry's bad.
Sure.
It's just, don't buy things just because you feel like you should have them.
Right.
It's about being honest with yourself and your preferences.
Yeah, like what do you actually want?
Exactly. And this principle applies to so many areas of our lives.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What are you holding on to, listener, out of obligation or societal pressure rather than genuine enjoyment?
Oh, that's a good one.
Now get ready for this one.
Okay.
Chelsea doesn't eat breakfast.
What? No way.
I know, right?
That's crazy.
That's certainly an unconventional approach.
I mean, it works for some people.
Right. And as with everything, context is key.
Of course.
She practices intermittent fasting, which works for her lifestyle and helps her save money.
Okay, so there's a reason. Yeah, and she emphasizes that, this might not be for everyone.
Sure.
Some people thrive on a hearty breakfast.
Oh yeah, I need my breakfast.
Right. But for her, skipping that meal doesn't leave her feeling deprived.
Okay.
So it's about finding an eating pattern that suits your needs and doesn't break the bank.
I like that.
And even small, consistent savings can add up over time.
For sure. For sure.
Imagine what you could do with the money that you would save by cutting back on a daily latte or skipping that mid-morning snack.
Yeah, I mean, every little bit helps.
It's food for thought, quite literally.
Uh-huh, that's good.
Speaking of food for thought, Chelsea has a brilliant rule about designer makeup.
Ooh, designer makeup. Okay, tell me more. Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in the hype of all the fancy beauty products.
Oh, totally. I'm definitely guilty of that.
We've all been there, the allure of the luxury brands and all that.
Yeah.
It's powerful, but Chelsea has a really practical tip I think you'll appreciate listening.
Okay, I'm listening.
Her rule is to test designer makeup for at least 2 weeks using samples
Ooh, that's good.
before committing to a purchase.
Yeah, that's smart.
It's brilliant. Why spend a fortune on something that might not even work for you?
Totally.
Chelsea even jokes about going to Sephora in disguise to get enough samples.
Oh my God, I love her.
She's committed.
She's dedicated.
She is dedicated to saving.
That's awesome.
It highlights a key theme we've been discussing, like being a conscious consumer.
Yeah.
It's about making informed decisions
Yeah.
rather than just succumbing to those impulse purchases.
Yeah. It's like those tempting marketing emails that Chelsea talks about.
Don't get me started.
She realized that, those flash sale subject lines and like those exclusive offers were like triggering her to buy things she didn't need.
Oh, yeah, they get you with the scarcity. They know how to get you.
They're good at it.
Those emails are crafted to exploit our psychological vulnerabilities, creating that sense of urgency and scarcity.
Yeah.
It's no wonder we feel compelled to click buy now.
So true.
Right.
So what was Chelsea's solution?
Well, she unsubscribed from all those Temptin' Store newsletters.
Wow, cold turkey.
I know, right? It's like removing the temptation altogether.
Good for her.
It speaks to the power of controlling our environment
Yeah.
by limiting our exposure to those triggers. We can make more rational spending choices.
It's interesting how all of Chelsea's tips kind of connect back to this idea of intentionality.
I was just thinking that.
Whether it's about the clothes we buy, the food we eat, or the social engagements we prioritize.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's about aligning our actions with our values and our goals.
Yeah.
Chelsea's journey demonstrates that saving money doesn't have to be about deprivation. It could be about making choices that support a more fulfilling and financially secure life.
And it's not about following a rigid set of rules. It's about finding what works for you.
Customized, yeah.
Maybe you love breakfast and wouldn't dream of skipping it.
Like me.
But, you could reevaluate your spending on those obligatory drinks with dinner.
Oh, that's a good point.
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to personal finance.
Right.
It's about identifying the areas where you can make those adjustments that feel good and align with your individual circumstances.
I like that.
This deep dive has really gotten me thinking about my own spending habits.
Me too.
I'm inspired by Chelsea's ability to find joy in those simple things and prioritize experiences over material possessions.
Yeah, I think that's a powerful takeaway for all of us.
Yeah.
True wealth isn't measured by the number of things we accumulate, but by the richness of our lives and the quality of our experiences.
It's about finding that sweet spot where financial well-being and personal fulfillment kind of intersect.
They work together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that Chelsea's story just reminds us that we have the power to design a life that reflects our values and brings us joy both financially and emotionally.
And we've covered so much ground already, from ditching fast fashion to unsubscribing from those Temptin' Store emails.
We have, but before we wrap up this whole deep dive into Chelsea's money-saving secrets, I want to touch on one more point that I think ties everything together.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me.
So it's this underlying theme of self-awareness.
Okay.
Throughout her video, Chelsea emphasizes the importance of being honest with yourself about your needs, your wants, and your values.
It's so true. It's like we're living on autopilot,
Yeah,
following these scripts that might not align with our authentic selves.
totally. And Chelsea's journey is a reminder to pause, reflect, and just ask ourselves what truly matters to me.
It's about defining our own version of success and happiness, both financially and personally.
Exactly, and then making choices that support that vision. Chelsea's decision to forego that trendy neighborhood, even though it was considered the place to be,
Yeah.
it's a great example. She prioritized her values and her budget over that perceived status.
And she wasn't afraid to challenge conventional wisdom, like that idea that everyone needs to eat breakfast. She found what worked for her and her lifestyle.
I love that, and this willingness to question assumptions and experiment is so important.
Totally.
It allows us to discover what truly aligns with our needs and our preferences.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with a few key takeaways.
Yeah, let's hear 'em.
Okay, so first, embrace self-awareness.
Yes,
Take the time to understand your spending habits, your values, and your goals.
love it.
Second, challenge those shoulds and those expectations that might be driving your financial decisions. And third, remember that small, consistent changes can have a big impact over time.
For sure.
And finally, don't be afraid to experiment and find what works best for you. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to personal finance.
So true.
Chelsea's story is just a reminder that saving money doesn't have to be about deprivation.
No,
It can be a journey of self-discovery and empowerment.
absolutely.
It's about creating a life that is both financially secure and personally fulfilling.
I love that. So, dear listener, what resonated with you the most from Chelsea's insights? What steps can you take today to align your spending with your values and create a life that truly reflects who you are?
We'd love to hear your thoughts, share your own money-saving tips, and let us know what inspired you from this deep dive.
Yes.
Until next time, happy saving.